5 years. We first came over 76, 77.
Something like
We did
that.
the Forces tour first of all, and then we did a tour for Rainer Hengst from Gütersloh, which was a German tour, which is really what we wanted to do, was to play the German clubs. And we've been coming back, well, really ever since, more or less once a year. But this is the first time we've been to Berlin. It's the first time. I hope not the last.
Well, noticing from this year in England, I've seen in the club scene there that a lot of singers has changed their style, going from traditional material to contemporary material. Well, I haven't heard you now for, I don't know which record I've heard last.
Yeah.
But I think it's very old one. And I've seen on stage that you amplify more or less all your instruments. Did you change your style as well? Did you change from traditional singers to contemporary ones? Do you mix it up or?
Well, no, basically we sing practically all traditional songs and play traditional tunes. Pete writes some songs, but they're very much in the traditional style of song. We very rarely learn contemporary songs, and it isn't for any particular reason. We're not against contemporary songs at all. It's just one of those things. We like traditional music, so that's what we tend to do.
Oh yeah, I suppose if anything, in fact, we've done the reverse, because when we first started out, a percentage, it's difficult to say what percentage of our material was in fact songs that I'd written, songs like Joseph Baker and songs like that. But they were very often, in fact, the Joseph Baker, for example, was sung by the chieftains, and they were convinced it was a traditional song anyway. So really, that sort of didn't make very much difference. I mean, the thing that I've done over the last few years is in fact I've not really done much writing, because I've been concentrating on collecting songs from traditional singers, and the majority of that percentage that was contemporary material is in fact now replaced by songs that we've learnt direct that aren't collected from traditional singers. So if anything, we've gone the other way. We've gone even more traditional. I mean, despite the fact that we use a PA now, in many ways that's a necessity for a lot of the events that we do. But really, the PA is in fact really just for balance. We've got people got tired of complaints that people couldn't hear the dulcimer when the melodeon was playing, and it's just balance. It makes life easier, certainly on a long tour, where you get some rooms that are quite bad acoustically, and after two or three nights of bad rooms, then your voice starts to suffer. So it's really just a practical consideration more than anything else.
So when you just made the reverse way from contemporary to traditional, what do you think of those singers who said there is no use anymore in collecting the songs, because the only things you find now is stuff not worth being played because it's not good, it always sounds the same?
That is definitely not true. I mean, there is still stuff being collected that, apart from being important.
Well, I don't agree with those, but...
No.
Well, actually, I was going to say, who have you heard said it? Say it.
Nicht, for example.
Nick?
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that surprises me. I mean, I don't know. We sing traditional songs because, well, we like the actual musical content, and for all the reasons that traditional material, I think does move with the times. I mean, for example, if you're singing a song about a soldier who gets killed at the Battle of Waterloo, we don't really have to substitute a more recent battle. You don't really have to say, well, it wasn't Waterloo, and you changed the Waterloo to Vietnam, because the meaning is still there. The fact that it's Waterloo is, the meaning of the song is still there. You don't have to change the tiny details like that.
I think basic human situations don't change. Basic human emotions don't change. So I think the songs are relevant. I mean, if you're singing about knights in shining armour, obviously that part of it is out of date. But the basic things are still there. I find them still relevant.
Do you look upon yourself more or less as... No, that's the wrong way. What do you think is more relevant for your kind of music? Is it the singing to the people or is it the collecting?
For me, I think it's the performance. I did the collecting because it was there to be done. I was put in a situation which very few people get the opportunity to do. I was very grateful, and I think it's important. But I don't see myself as an academic as opposed to a performer. I'm not sort of academically inclined anyway. I much prefer to play and perform the music. But this is not to say that the other portion isn't, important. Somebody's got to do it somewhere, and if the opportunity comes along, then then take it.
So, if you look at the English Folk Dance and Song Society,
I'd rather not. But
that was the question.
Next.
Yeah. Do you consider it worse or not?
We actually disagree on this point because I'm a member and Peter isn't. I don't agree with a lot of things they do. I think a lot of their so-called organisation is a shambles. But on the other hand, you need archivists, you need archives, and the library and the record library are important. However, these days, most of the collecting, and I think more go ahead to make things recorded, is outside the society because they haven't got the money. And the reason they haven't got the money is because they're still living in, well, it seems like the last century sometimes. But I think an institution like that, it's necessary.
It's always going to be beset with problems because of the way it's sponsored and because I don't know. It's such a difficult question. I just wish they'd bring themselves into the 19th century, and then we could eventually get them into the 20th century as well. But it's a difficult question because yes, I suppose they should be there. I don't really, but it's got to change so much, quite, and so soon. And I can't see how they're going to do it. I just can't. And there are so many problems with an organisation which is set up as a sort of charity anyway, and gets its grant.
It's hopeless.
I was just wondering because I heard from a lot of singers, traditional singers, revivalists, whatever you call them. It's no use to them.
Well, most of the active work, the important work, is done by other people, because trying to get money out of the society, or if the society want to do something, they haven't got the money, and they can't find the money. So people just go ahead and do it. And that, as long as it's done. They're not doing the job that they should do, but I think it's important that they're there.
Okay, back to your music.
Politics.
Comparing the English scene, club scene, to German club scene, which scene would you prefer to be in?
Well, that's a difficult one, really. I like the idea of being part of, or at least having both available. I like the attitude on the continent generally of it being more open and less specialised, so that in some instances you're following, you may be following the next month or the next week a guest or a group or whatever who are doing very, very different material from the material that you're doing. And it might even, say in the case of Belgium, you might be going around after the Wazol Quartet, who would basically swing jazz.
They're live music,
I think,
which is important. And in England, they're specialised clubs for folk music, and they can become introverted, which you don't find so much
But
on
then,
the continent.
to change the question a bit, do you like more the English audience or do you like more the German audience?
That really, to me, isn't a question I can answer, because I like both types of audience. They don't differ that much, to be perfectly honest. You find if people like live music, then...
Have you always been a good club?
Well, I think the only thing that first I noticed coming to Germany, the thing that struck me is that the audience were incredibly quiet. Like to the point, yes, the clubs that we did, they were so quiet that we really didn't think they liked what we were doing. It was silence, till the end of the night. Then suddenly, there's this eruption, they start stamping and clapping. We thought, crikey, they do like what we're doing after all. It was very reserved. It seemed to be reserved till right to the end. That we noticed.
I think I haven't lived in Germany.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
So
perhaps that's a difficult. That's a difficult question for us to answer, because we haven't done that many German clubs. So the ones we have done possibly tend to be. I don't know. I mean, I suppose the better ones. I mean, let's face it. That the sort of music that we do is fairly specialised anyway. We're not a group, and well, I mean, although we do play sort of dance tunes and this sort of thing, I mean, there's a lot of, well, I mean, I hope there's a lot of sort of listening content in our material, and so whoever's going to book us into his club is going to be aware of that we're not easy listening, or that we're going to play dance tunes all night so everybody can jump up and down and have a good time. So, I mean, presumably the clubs where that is necessary, we don't go we don't go, but we don't go to those clubs in England anyway. I mean, presumably a club organiser will know roughly what we do before he books us. He doesn't, he's a fool. But we don't. Still, to say this without making it sound wrong, we don't really adapt our material very much to our audiences. We just do what we like to do, which includes some dance tunes, and which includes some ballads, and one or two musical songs. We really just sing the songs we like, and we hope that people like them. And if they don't like them, then if we've performed well, then I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. We don't really go out and say, well, we know that this goes down.
Feel it should, the club needs
we don't really select our special material for a German audience, or for an audience in the north of England, or for an audience in the south. We go along and we perform the songs that we like singing, and we hope that the people in the north of England, the people in the south of England, the people in Germany, the people in Belgium, the people in Holland like more or less the same songs. If they don't, then I'm afraid there's nothing much we can do about it, because we're not in the sort of cabaret scene where we've got to please people all the time. We don't have that sort of pressure behind us. Obviously, we've got to sing well and perform well, and if a song doesn't seem to be going anywhere, then
it's the wrong song.
Then there must be something wrong with the song that we haven't realised. But I mean, that is a different thing altogether.
Is there any special song or any special kind of tradition music you like best?
I think it's the song that I'm learning at the moment that I think it is not quite ready to perform. I don't know if that makes sense.
I don't mean a special song, I just mean a group of, let's say, ballads or...
Yes, I like ballads. I mean, ballads
broadsides
ballads are my main interest. But they always have been. I don't know.
It's difficult to say.
You don't have any favourite?
I love ballads, but I also sort of like some of the lighter, sort of funnier songs. We don't really sing many songs that are obviously funny, but there are lots of songs with just funny, I think perhaps funny little pieces in that amuse me, and I hope that the audience catch them as well. We don't really sing many joke songs or comedy songs as such. There's one or two that No,
The
they
music
don't
hall
quite.
songs.
The music hall songs, obviously. But we don't sing many of them. Sorry?
Body ones.
Well,
Not
I
in the
think-
obvious sense.
No, songs of double entendre, yes. But not outright bawdy songs. Again, I don't know why. If we found a bawdy song that we liked, we'd sing it. It's not anything to do with
Would you look?
being against them.
Sorry. Would you look upon yourself, or would you put yourself into the same group, let's say, as people like the Stewards of Blair, or well, just these old village folk singers?
Oh.
Or do you consider more or less your revivalist singers?
Oh, we are revivalist
yeah.
singers, definitely. I mean, we've got, neither of us, I don't think we've got any songs from our family. And the Stewarts are orally transmitted. Their songs are orally transmitted. They're family songs, mainly that they sing, though obviously they learn more.
So
We're
is it-
definite revivalists. We learn from anywhere and everywhere.
That's another story.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yes.
I know the Stewards. So.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
bawdy
yeah.
songs are fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love the Stewarts, but I mean, we're class of revival, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I mean, as for other people to say whether we're closer to the tradition, whatever that means, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't. I don't really know.
We're not traditional singers. We're singers of traditional songs, but we're not traditional singers in that defined sense.
Do you find it hard to make a living out of traditional singing?
Not
Did you never have the thought or the idea of changing the music, going into punk or new wave, or it's a bit far-stretched now, but just changing the music to more or less pop music or folk rock?
No, I think we do what we do best. We're actually very fond of rock music, and a lot of the new wave music I like as well. We both like, but I think we do the sort of music that we're most convinced about, that we feel. But it's all down to feel, isn't it? It either feels right or it doesn't feel right. Traditional music for us feels right, though I think it's questionable, we could make a better living maybe doing another sort of music.
But you don't intend to?
I
Don't intend to?
Well,
Well, who can say what you intend to do tomorrow? I
That's
don't
it.
know.
But by now?
Not at this present and precise moment.
well, I mean,
No.
Yes, I mean, I'd quite like to do some. I'd like to quite like to work with a rock band, but probably wouldn't be doing traditional material particularly. The problem with folk rock is that there's not many people who are actually very good at it when it comes down to it. It's like, well, if a rock and roll band started doing a lot of folk music, people would soon say, oh, well, it's all right, it's good rock and roll, but it's not really good folk music. And what people don't realise is that a lot of folk rock bands, they're quite good at the folk, but the rock bit is in fact where they're completely and utterly lost. I mean, rock
And
music...
self-conscious, they're too self-conscious about it.
I mean, I love rock music. I love good rock music. And the problem is that a lot of folk rock bands are not really very good at rock and roll to start with. I mean, one of the things that we're doing, we may do, possibly in our small way, and this is all. I mean, it's always a matter of sort of economics. Now that we are using PA quite a lot, I've decided I'm going to try one or two things with some of the instruments, foot pedals, phasers, flanges, this sort of thing, because they can produce sort of quite interesting effects. But it is really using a series of effects on existing instruments. They may or may not work. I know that, for example, an Appalachian dulcimer sounds very nice if you put a flanger on it. It sounds quite strange. Well, you can use that to create an atmosphere in a song, or part of a song. So I intend doing that. I mean, we're not. Well, I mean, we're obviously not purists. We can't really afford to be because we are revivalists as such. But we're not sort of particularly precious about it, and things must move We use the technology, if you like, of the PA, and we use certain features of the existing small PA. When I've saved up enough money, I shall get a series of these pedals and try those. If they work, fine. If they don't, then we might try something else. When we come to do our next record, we hope to have other musicians on it, and hopefully there's one or two particular songs which I think would sound nice with a synthesizer.
An electric guitar as well.
And possibly electric guitar. I don't say that's because you're using a synthesizer or an electric guitar or whatever is folk rock. I mean, I don't see that at all. It's just using instruments in the same way that whenever a new instrument or whatever was adapted or developed, a traditional musician would use it in the same sense that it started off with fiddles, but when the concertina was invented, they started moving on to concertinas and melodeons and saxophones and the Balkans and all this sort of thing. Well, we're just part and parcel of that. We're just moving on. Would be really nice if we could afford to have a band, say, with a synthesizer, because it's such a versatile instrument. I mean, it has amazing applications in folk music, just a synthesizer. Love one. But unfortunately, neither of us are keyboard players, so it's got to be somebody else.
Guitar synthesizer.
Well, I don't play guitar, you see. I mean, this possibly goes back to one of the questions you asked earlier on about doing contemporary songs. And this is not strictly correct, but perhaps as a general rule, it seems to me that a lot of contemporary songs sit more comfortably if they're accompanied by either a guitar or a piano. I no longer play guitar. I gave up playing the guitar a few years ago because I really wasn't very good, and people like Jonesy and people like that are so good that there didn't seem to be much point in me bothering. So I went on to bouzouki, which in some ways is a limited instrument. Well, it is the way I play it. But I exploit its limitations. But perhaps there are one or two, contemporary songs that might fit on the bouzouki, and even on the melodeon. There is in fact a song on the most recent LP, which is a contemporary song, which I use the melodeon for.
To conclude this, when you look back now at band dogs, what do you see nowadays of band dogs?
We'd like to do it again.
So you liked the group or playing that?
We did. There was a lot of problems, and there's a lot of problems that maybe we'd see them next time. The main problem for me, I think, was not being a full-time group. So every time you come together again, the music's so loose, to use a polite term, that you have to virtually start all over again. And that means that even material you've already learnt and arranged, you've got to do it again. And that's hard work then.
I think we made an interesting start, and I think that's all that record in the first two or three tours that we did.
The surface,
really, were just an interesting start. If we could have continued it, if it had been practical to continue, then it could have got quite interesting when you got more used to working with each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, I sort of quite like that record, but it's no more than an interesting start. The one or two things that we could have explored after that, but we didn't really sort of get a chance.
So it's very difficult as well. I mean, Tony lives right down in the southwest. Yeah. Nick lives not far from London. We live right up north. I mean, rehearsal wasn't an easy thing.
I was just wondering if you say the same as Nick then.
Yeah. I think.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Nick as well couldn't stand the idea of having to rehearse things that we'd already done, purely and simply because for performance we had to rehearse them again.
Yeah.
And you just get so tired of it. You need to you need to get onto the new things all the time. And of course that wasn't.
It was difficult. I mean, it took us quite a while. It took us all. It took us that first record and subsequent tours to get used to working with each other, and for us to get used to working with basically two people who had been, for the most part, solo singers. So that, I mean, for example, Nick particularly, you'll appreciate, he doesn't really have a format for working. He has a series of accompaniments for one song, and he varies them according to how he feels on the night.
And he varies his singing as well. I mean, he'll elongate a line if he wants it. He'll change the rhythm if he wants to. Within a group, that's not possible.
Yeah,
well, maybe it is eventually. That's what could have been good if we'd have worked together so that we knew.
But that needs a lot of practice.
Needs a lot of work.
Sure. And you need more experience of working together than we gave ourselves. And so it was difficult for Nick to discipline himself to playing always the same
because
thing,
so
that we all
feature of
knew
his
where we were.
music is that he can do what he likes. He can change, and that's what to me is exciting about listening to Nick. You can hear him sing the same song 6 times and it's never the same. Well, I mean, he'll vary lines, he'll vary words, he varies all over the place, which to me is great. I really like that aspect of the way he performs. But it's not easy if you're trying to sing harmony with him and you realise halfway through a line that he's changed the chords.
I've never tried. I just looked at his guitar playing and
It's a lot simpler now, actually, Nick's guitar playing than it used to be.
Do you think so?
Well,
he says this himself.
when I mean simpler,
it's more English on the stage.
I don't know. I think possibly a lot of it sounds simpler. It's not necessarily easier to play. I think it's probably the.
Yeah, it would be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not that.
Okay. Thank you for the interview.
Okay,
thank you.